You know that feeling when you're so tired your bones ache, but the moment your head hits the pillow, your mind starts racing. That was my reality. Every single night. For years. My name's Frank, and after serving 2 tours in Vietnam, I came home with more than just medals and memories. I brought back demons that wouldn't let me sleep. The doctors called it PTSD-induced insomnia. I called it hell. For 30 years, I tried everything: prescription pills that left me groggy, meditation apps that bored me to tears, even counting sheep until I reached numbers that probably don't exist. Nothing worked. Until I discovered something so simple, so traditional, that I couldn't believe I hadn't tried it sooner. I remember the night everything changed. It was my granddaughter's birthday, and I nodded off right as she was blowing out her candles. The look of disappointment on her little face. Well, that broke something in me. Here I was, missing the precious moments of life because I was constantly exhausted. That night, I sat on my porch at 3 a.m., like I had countless nights before, watching the neighborhood sleep peacefully while I remained trapped in my exhaustion. But this time was different. This time, I made myself a promise. I would find a way to sleep again, or I'd die trying. Funny thing about rock bottom, it's a surprisingly good foundation to build upon. Like many veterans my age, I'd been through the medical system more times than I could count. VA hospitals, sleep clinics, specialists with names I couldn't pronounce, you name it, I tried it. Your brain is stuck in combat mode, one doctor told me. It's still scanning for threats, even decades later. The pills they prescribed helped me fall asleep, sure, but I wasn't really sleeping. I was sedated. There's a difference, and any insomniac will tell you that. I'd wake up feeling like I'd been hit by a truck, my mouth dry as cotton, my thoughts foggy until noon. After years of this, another doctor suggested I try something different. Before we increase your dosage again, why not look into some traditional remedies? Sometimes the old ways work when modern medicine fails. I nearly laughed in his face. Traditional remedies. I was a man of science, of military precision. But desperation makes you humble. And I was desperate. That's when I met Alina at my local VFW. 87 years old and sharp as a tack, she noticed the dark circles under my eyes right away. "You're not sleeping," she said. It wasn't a question. Alina had been a nurse during the Korean War. She'd seen the same 1,000-yard stare in soldiers back then. But unlike me, she hadn't relied solely on modern medicine for answers. My grandmother was what they called a kitchen healer, she told me. She knew how to use food as medicine long before it became trendy. I was skeptical but polite. What did I have to lose, anyway? "Come over tomorrow," she insisted. "I'll make you dinner." That dinner changed everything. Not immediately. I'm not telling you some fairy tale here, but it was the first step on a path I'd never considered. Alina's kitchen looked like something from another era. Mason jars filled with dried herbs lined the shelves. The smell was incredible, earthy, comforting. "Food isn't just fuel," she explained as she chopped and stirred. "It's information for your body. The right foods tell your brain it's safe to rest." That night, she served me a simple meal: turkey with roasted sweet potatoes, a side of sautéed greens with walnuts, and a strange tea that smelled like flowers and earth. "Turkey contains tryptophan," she explained, "which helps produce serotonin and melatonin, nature's sleep regulators. The sweet potatoes provide complex carbs that make the tryptophan more available to your brain. The greens have magnesium, nature's relaxant. And the walnuts. They've got their own source of melatonin. I nodded politely, expecting nothing. But that night, I slept for 4 straight hours. No nightmares. No cold sweats. Just sleep. Not a full night, but more than I'd managed in years. It felt like a miracle. Now, I'm not one to take things on faith. After that first night, I dove into research. Turns out, Aliner wasn't peddling some hippie nonsense. There was solid science behind these traditional remedies. I learned that certain foods really do contain compounds that promote sleep. Tart cherries are one of the few natural sources of melatonin. Kiwi fruit has been shown in studies to improve both sleep quality and quantity. Fatty fish like salmon provides vitamin D and omega-3s that regulate serotonin. Bananas contain potassium and magnesium that relax muscles. Chamomile and other herbal teas have compounds that bind to the same brain receptors as some sleep medications. But without the side effects, what fascinated me most was discovering that many of these traditional remedies had been used for centuries across different cultures. Modern science was just catching up to what our ancestors somehow knew intuitively. With Aliner's guidance, I developed a routine centered around these sleep-inducing foods. But it wasn't just about what I ate, it was when and how. I started having my main meal at least 3 hours before bedtime. Too close to sleep, and digestion interferes with your body's natural wind-down process. Too far away, and hunger might wake you up. I created a ritual of preparing a small sleep-promoting snack about an hour before bed. Sometimes it was a banana with a spoonful of almond butter. Other nights, it was tart cherry juice with a handful of walnuts. The act of preparing this little snack became a signal to my body that it was time to start powering down. And I discovered something crucial for us seniors. Timing matters more than we think. Our digestive systems aren't as efficient as they once were. Heavy meals late in the day were a guaranteed recipe for restless nights. Now, I don't want to paint this as an overnight success story. There were setbacks. Plenty of them. Some nights, despite doing everything right, sleep still eluded me. The anniversary of losing my buddies in Da Nang was particularly rough. Certain sounds, a car backfiring, fireworks on. The 4th of July could still catapult me back to the jungle. But here's the difference. Instead of those sleepless nights leading to weeks of insomnia, I had tools to get back on track. The food remedies became my anchor, something concrete I could control when the memories threatened to pull me under. I also discovered that what works changes as you age. In my 70s now, I need different support than I did in my 50s. My metabolism has slowed. My digestion isn't what it used to be. Adapting my approach has been key. About 6 months into my journey, I started bringing some of Aliner's sleep-promoting snacks to my veterans support group. These were tough men who'd seen the worst of humanity, who struggled with the same demons I did. At first, they were jokes. What's next, Frankie? Essential oils and crystals. But when they saw the change in me, the clarity in my eyes, the absence of the perpetual exhaustion, the joking stopped. One by one, they started trying these traditional remedies. And one by one, many found relief. Not a cure. I don't think there is such a thing for what we went through, but improvement. Real, meaningful improvement. The night Tom, the most skeptical of our group, pulled me aside with tears in his eyes to tell me he'd slept through the night for the first time in 40 years. That moment will stay with me forever. As I continued this journey, I realized that while the sleep-inducing foods were the foundation, there were other traditional practices that enhanced their effectiveness. Elinor introduced me to the concept of sleep hygiene, though her grandmother had never called it that. Simple things like keeping regular sleep hours, even on weekends, creating a cool, dark sleeping environment, using my bed only for sleep, developing a consistent bedtime ritual that signals to my body it's time to rest. I also discovered that certain traditional breathing techniques could calm my racing mind. A simple pattern of inhaling for 4 counts, holding for 7, and exhaling for 8 worked wonders during those moments when memories threatened to overwhelm me. Movement mattered too. Not intense exercise late in the day that actually made things worse, but gentle stretching, especially focusing on the tight spots where I held tension, my neck, shoulders, and lower back. These were areas where I'd carried stress for decades, not realizing how much it affected my sleep. Looking back at my decades of struggling. With sleep, there's so much I wish someone had told me earlier. I wish I'd known that senior health doesn't have to mean more medications. That sometimes, the answer isn't adding something new, but returning to something ancient. I wish I'd understood that insomnia relief doesn't always come in a bottle. Sometimes it comes in a kitchen, or a garden, or a moment of quiet reflection. I wish someone had explained that our bodies change as we age, and what worked in our youth might not serve us in our senior years. Our nutritional needs shift. Our sleep architecture transforms. Fighting these changes only made things worse. Most of all, I wish I'd known I wasn't alone. That millions of other veterans, and civilians too, stare at the same ceiling at 3 a.m., fighting the same battles with sleeplessness. If you're one of those people, I want you to know something. There is hope. Not false hope, not miracle cures, but real, sustainable improvement that builds over time. It's been 5 years since that first dinner at Elinor's. I'd like to tell you I sleep perfectly now, but that wouldn't be honest. I still have rough nights. The difference is, they're now the exception rather than the rule. Most nights, I get 6-7 hours of actual restful sleep. After decades of surviving on 2-3 hours of fragmented dozing, this feels nothing short of miraculous. My journey taught me that sometimes the most powerful solutions are also the simplest. That wisdom doesn't always come from the newest research or the latest medication. Sometimes it comes from traditional remedies passed down through generations, now validated by modern science. If you're struggling with sleep, especially if you're in your senior years like me, I encourage you to explore these gentler approaches. Talk to your doctor, of course, but also be open to the possibility that what your body needs might be found in your kitchen rather than your medicine cabinet. Start small, perhaps with a calming tea before bed, or adding some tart cherries to your evening routine. Notice how your body responds. Be patient with yourself. And remember what Elinor told me that first night. Sleep isn't just rest. It's your body's time to heal. Give it the right tools, and it remembers how to do what it was designed to do. Sweet dreams, my friends. You deserve them. We all do.